Beloved soul, before we go any further, let me speak to you plainly, heart to heart. If you feel this message stirring something inside you, if your chest feels warm or heavy or strangely alive, subscribe and leave a comment below. It helps me deliver these divine messages to more souls like you, those who are ready for awakening. This is not about numbers, this is about resonance. Now, breathe. December 23rd arrives not with thunder, not with spectacle, but with stillness. And stillness, my friend, is where God whispers. The final new moon before 2026 has already passed. On December 19th, the universe planted seeds so subtle you may have almost missed them. No fireworks, no dramatic collapse, just a quiet rearranging beneath the surface of your life. And now, on this day, the moon has become a waxing crescent, only 15% illuminated, fragile, tender, and yet undeniably alive. This is how destiny begins. You may feel it as restlessness, a sense that something is over, even if nothing has visibly ended, a strange grief mixed with relief, a knowing without words. That is not confusion, that is initiation. The sun has just entered Capricorn, earth sign, builder energy, architect of timelines. This is no longer about dreaming, this is about construction, brick by brick, choice by choice, breath by breath. You were not meant to leap wildly into 2026, you were meant to rebuild quietly now. And that is why this moment feels lonely, because chosen ones are often separated from the noise right before alignment. You are not being punished, you are being positioned. The universe is lowering the volume so you can finally hear your own soul again. Stay with me. Now we will dive deeper into the next aspect of your awakening. You may be wondering why the signs don't look like signs anymore. Once, synchronicities shouted, numbers followed you everywhere, people mirrored your wounds, lessons arrived dramatically. But now, the signs whisper. They arrive as feelings, as inner nudges, as a sudden certainty that you cannot explain to anyone else. This is not a loss of magic, this is mastery. A waxing crescent moon teaches patience. It does not demand action, it invites devotion. It asks, will you protect what is still small? Will you honor what is still forming? Right now, new timelines are fragile. Speak harshly to yourself and you bruise them. Rush decisions and you fracture them. Enter old patterns and you starve them of light. You may notice that certain people no longer have access to you. Conversations feel flat. Old desires feel hollow. This is because your frequency has changed, but your environment is still catching up. Capricorn energy brings discipline not as restriction, but as devotion to the long game. You are being asked to think beyond comfort, beyond approval, beyond the urgency of proving anything to anyone. This is legacy energy. You are no longer here to react, you are here to design. And yes, it can feel heavy. Destiny often does. But heaviness is not wrong when it is rooted in purpose. A mountain is heavy because it carries the sky. You are learning to carry more.
Let me tell you something few spiritual teachers say out loud. Awakening hurts. Not because light is painful, but because illusions cling tightly when they know their time is over. The false self, the version of you built from survival, people-pleasing, fear, and adaptation, does not dissolve gently. It argues, it bargains, it tries to pull you back into familiarity. You may feel tired in ways sleep cannot fix, emotionally raw without knowing why, detached from things that once defined you. This is not depression. This is shedding. The quiet rebuild is often misunderstood as stagnation. Others may think you are doing nothing, but inside, entire belief systems are collapsing and reforming. Old identities are being composted into wisdom. Capricorn asks you to take responsibility for your energy. No more blaming circumstances, no more waiting for permission, no more outsourcing your power to timing, trauma, or other people's readiness. This is where many chosen ones hesitate, because responsibility means ownership, and ownership means you can no longer hide from the magnitude of who you are becoming. If you feel resistance, honor it, but do not obey it. Resistance is simply the echo of a self that cannot follow you into the next chapter. You are not abandoning who you were, you are graduating. Now, we will dive deeper into the next aspect of your awakening. There comes a moment, often quiet, often uncelebrated, when the veil thins. It does not arrive with trumpets. It does not interrupt your life dramatically. It slips in like a breath you didn't know you were holding suddenly being released. You may be alone when it happens, sitting in the dim glow of early morning, driving without music, staring at the ceiling before sleep, and suddenly something opens. Not in your mind, in your knowing. You don't think differently, you recognize differently. You realize that the struggle you've been in was never evidence of failure. It was evidence of pressure. Pressure creates diamonds. Pressure forges leaders. Pressure awakens those who are meant to carry light without needing applause. And in that realization, something ancient inside you exhales. You were never behind. You were never late. You were never broken. You were being trained. Trained to hold contradiction. Trained to walk alone without collapsing. Trained to love without losing yourself. Trained to hear truth even when it trembles your world. This is where the false narratives fall apart. The story that said you were too much. The story that said you were not enough. The story that told you to shrink, rush, prove, or perform for worth. They dissolve, not violently, but gently, like fog burned away by the morning sun. You may feel emotional here, tears without a clear reason, a lump in your throat, a warmth spreading through your chest. That is not sadness. That is recognition. Your soul recognizing itself after a long separation. And here, let me speak directly to you. Many of you are watching right now, feeling something shift inside, but you haven't subscribed yet. If you're still here in this moment, it's because this message was meant for you. Hit that subscribe button, not just for numbers, but so these divine transmissions can find you every single day without interruption. Because what is happening right now is not entertainment, it is remembrance. You are remembering that you are not here by accident, that your sensitivity is not weakness, that your depth is not a flaw, that your inability to live shallowly in a shallow world is not something to fix, it is something to honor. This realization does not inflate the ego, it humbles it. Because when you see clearly, you also see how precisely your life has been arranged, how every delay refined you, how every disappointment redirected you, how every closed door prevented you from entering rooms that would have dimmed your light. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and you begin asking, "What was this preparing me for?" And that question changes everything. You begin to stand differently. Your shoulders relax. Your breath deepens. You stop over-explaining your truth. You stop chasing clarity from people who cannot see you yet. You don't need to convince anyone anymore. You know. And knowing carries a quiet authority. This is the moment where the chosen one stops searching for signs, because the sign has become internal, a steady compass, a grounded certainty, a calm strength that doesn't need urgency to validate it. This is the break in the veil, not a dramatic awakening, but a permanent one. And from here on, nothing false can fully satisfy you again. Now, we will dive deeper into the next aspect of your awakening.
Once you accept who you are, something extraordinary happens. You begin to see the architecture. Events you once labeled as failures reveal themselves as redirections. Delays become protection. Endings become mercy. Even heartbreak begins to look like precision. This is Capricorn wisdom, the understanding that destiny is not chaotic. It is structured, intentional, built over time with invisible hands. You are not meant to sprint into 2026. You are meant to arrive prepared. This is why discipline matters now. Not harsh discipline, sacred discipline. Choosing rest without guilt. Choosing consistency over intensity. Choosing truth over comfort. Every small habit you form now becomes a pillar later. Every boundary becomes a foundation. Every time you choose your soul over your fear, you strengthen the timeline you are stepping into. And yes, there will be moments where you feel unseen. That is because your reward is not applause, it is alignment. Now, we will dive deeper into the next aspect of your awakening. Here is where the chosen one truly separates from the crowd. You stop waiting to be chosen. You realize you already were. Authority does not come from titles, followers, or external recognition. It comes from coherence, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions vibrate in the same truth. You no longer seek permission to rest, to say no, to change direction, to claim your gifts. Your energy speaks before your words do now. Others may feel challenged in your presence, not because you are doing anything wrong, but because your alignment exposes where they are out of alignment. Let them be uncomfortable. Light does not apologize for shining. This is the time to stabilize yourself, to become so rooted that storms only deepen your foundation. Now, we will dive deeper into the next aspect of your awakening. By now, you can feel it, the subtle certainty, the inner yes that no longer needs justification. This is destiny activation, not dramatic, not loud, but irreversible. You begin making choices that align with the future you feel calling you, even if you cannot fully see it yet. You invest energy differently. You walk away sooner. You trust your timing. The waxing crescent moon reminds you that growth does not need witnesses, it needs devotion. And as 2026 approaches, you will look back on this quiet December and realize this is where everything changed. This is where you chose yourself without needing to announce it. Now, we will dive deeper into the final aspect of your awakening. So, let me bless you now, as one soul speaking to another. May you trust the slow build. May you honor the small beginnings. May you release the need to prove what is already written in your spirit. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are rebuilding, quietly, intentionally, divinely. And that rebuild will outlast the noise of the world. This is your moment, your timeline, your divine calling. If this message spoke to your heart, subscribe, comment, and share this light with others on their path.
Together, we rise. Walk gently, walk steadily, walk in truth. I'll see you again, right on time.